Hey Pro-Life Gen, it's Kristen Hawkins, President of Students for Life Action, and we are out here in the rain in Washington, D.C. in front of the U.S. Department of Justice because we are done waiting for the federal government to enforce the Comstock Act. This is a law that's already in the books from the 1870s. This law is very simple. It's been amended a few times in Congress, but what stands is something that's very important. You can't mail abortion-related materials. Yet, that is what's tragically happening every single day, thousands of times across our country. Right in front of me are boxes and boxes of petitions that you, the pro-life generation, supporters, students, workers, voters, sign diligently online, demanding that our Trump DOJ enforce the Comstock Act. In fact, there's even more petitions that are here today, but rain, sorry, bear with me. These petitions are a simple sign telling the DOJ to do their job. And in a few minutes, we're going to go inside and personally hand deliver these petitions because you know me, if I ask you to sign for something, somebody's going to be delivering it for you. This is very simple. In the Trump White House, we have been very clear and we have been so excited as Americans to see a White House enforcing the rule of law. But yet this law is not being enforced. Why? Because the Biden DOJ did something devious. In the months leading up to the Roe reversal, the Dobbs decision, the Biden DOJ issued a memo saying that they were no longer going to enforce this federal law. Even though this law, as I've already mentioned, has been on the books since 1873, and even though this law has been amended several times, even though there are many Democrats in Congress who are permanently calling for this law to be repealed, meaning even Democrats know this is a federal law. However, now that we are in a new administration, a new day of making America great again, the Trump DOJ still has not acted to say they will enforce the rule of law. And this is crazy because chemical abortion pills are not health care. What is happening is drug trafficking, and it's happening thousands of times across our country. This is why Students for Life Action has been leading the charge to force the DOJ and remind the Trump administration to uphold the rule of law and make sure the Comstock Act is enforced. This simple action, just issuing a memo, could save hundreds of thousands of babies' lives because it would overnight stop the mailing of chemical abortion pills, which is critical because so many states have acted with courage since the reversal of Roe to ban abortions or severely restrict abortions in their states. Yet, all of these state laws are being usurped because the DOJ will not enforce this law. Now, President Trump has been very clear. He believes abortion should be a state issue. We disagree in the pro-life movement because your human rights don't begin or end at state lines. However, if President Trump is serious about saying states should handle the abortion issue, then the federal government's got to get out of abortion. And the first way to do that is to ensure that state laws aren't being violated. Governors like Gavin Newsom, Kathy Hochul, J.B. Pritzker, they're boasting about violating the state laws of states like Texas and Louisiana who've acted with courage to ban abortion. In fact, we have a significant case right now at the Supreme Court because the state of the state of Louisiana has been demanding that their pro-life laws be enacted. But today, I don't want to just talk about this old law from 1873, which must be enacted. I want to show you, and we want to discuss with you, the human toll of chemical abortion pills. So next to me is somebody you may have never seen before. I don't know.
Yeah. Occasionally, my family sees me. Yeah.
Your face.
Yeah.
It's Vincent DeCaro. Vincent DeCaro is the Chief Director of Outreach for CareNet, which you all probably have heard of CareNet. They're one of the leading agencies in America that's serving women and families in crisis pregnancies and well beyond. CareNet operates one of the largest call centers in the country, where any woman, any family in crisis, experiencing crisis pregnancy, can call and get support and get connected to more than the 2,000 pregnancy resource centers that operate in our country. So I've asked Vincent to come today to share with us what he's been seeing and what CareNet has been seeing across the country with this issue of chemical abortion pills, the leading cause of infant death in our nation.
Yeah, well, we know. Thank you, Kristen. It's great to be here. We know for sure that at least 20% of the folks who are calling our national hotline, pregnancy decision line, at least 20% of them from one source of phone calls, and this is a sample of about 7,000 phone calls that we've received. At least 20% of those are coming from women who are searching online for information about the abortion pill, and that number is only going up. So we know that it's and that's just our hotline, right? So this is thousands and thousands of people every year who are looking for information about these dangerous drugs. But I think what really kind of drives it home is just the sort of shocking and frankly tragic stories that we're hearing from women who call us and are talking to our coaches on the phone. Many of our coaches are nurses. They have medical training, medical background. And I just want to read you this story, because I think getting the details are important here to really understand what's really happening on a human level. So a frantic young woman called our pregnancy decision line, and she told the nurse that she was talking to, "I have to find it. I can't find it. They told me I need to find it." So when our nurse asked her what she was looking for, she said, "My baby." The nurse learned that the caller was a teenager who had gone to an abortion clinic a few days before, where they had given her abortion pills without her parents' knowledge. The ultrasound at the clinic showed she was carrying twins. Part of the instructions the abortion clinic gave her was that she needed to make sure she located 2 placentas and 2 babies' bodies after the abortion pill procedure to know if the abortion pill procedure was successful, right? And what we often find in these calls is that when they try to go back to the folks who supplied the abortion pills, they're often unwilling or unable to actually help beyond just take the pills, right? So thankfully, they were able, this frantic young woman was able to call our pregnancy decision line and speak to a nurse who cared about her and wanted to love her and help her. So she provided her education that helped her understand she needed to get actually treated by a physician and get an ultrasound, right? And then she learned on a follow-up call, because we follow up with the folks that we speak to on our line to make sure everything's okay, right? She learned that she had gone to the emergency room and was able, thankfully, thank God, to get the help that she needed. And she was able to actually also tell her parents about the abortion procedure because of the resources and the care and the help that our nurse provided to her on the line, and the guidance, emotionally, spiritually, physically, medically, that she needed in that moment, that she wasn't getting from somebody who just wanted to sell her drugs, really.
And these drugs are so dangerous. We're seeing from the Ethics and Public Policy Center data that came out last May of over 800,000 redacted insurance records of women who've taken these pills. Nearly 1 in 10 will end up in the ER with a serious issue.
Yeah, no, for sure. You know, the reason that this is just so vitally important and so urgent is because every dorm room, bedroom, bathroom, living room in the country has become an abortion clinic, a potential abortion clinic.
That's right.
And I kind of call it, it's like almost like the Amazon.com effect, right? Yeah. Where we're used to just getting things anonymously, immediately, without sort of any accountability on any side, right? And so I think women, this masks just how dangerous this is, because it's just so easy and anonymous and quick, and it's obviously causing thousands of women to experience serious issues, and to say nothing, of course, of the hundreds of thousands of unborn babies that are dying every time an abortion pill is successful.
It's really sad, because if you think about the Louisiana case, so a lot of people didn't know this case that was making its way through the courts in Louisiana, and you know, we all saw last week this injunction where this Fifth Circuit said, wow, this is a substantial case. We should halt all the shipping of chemical abortion pills, because the FDA did do something wrong when they took out, using COVID pandemic as the excuse, the requirement that a woman actually be seen in person before ingesting these pills. And then we immediately saw big abortion pharma go to the Supreme Court, Danco, the pharmaceutical company that only makes one drug, and that drug's mifepristone, which kills babies, appealed to the Supreme Court, and now there's like a stay on the injunction while all the briefs are submitted to the Supreme Court until Monday. But a lot of people are talking about this, but no one's actually talking about the actual story in Louisiana. Did you hear about the story in Louisiana? The young girl, Rosalie, who wanted to be pregnant, whose abusive boyfriend got these drugs and then forced her to take these drugs to kill her baby. That's what we're talking about. That is why, I mean, you don't even have to be pro-life against killing babies to say, what we have created, this wild, wild west situation with chemical abortion pills, because of the Biden's reckless FDA, because of the Biden's reckless DOJ that said they would enforce Comstock, it has opened up this dream situation for abusive boyfriends, for sex abusers, and it's dangerous. I mean, if you're experiencing a life-threatening ectopic pregnancy and you take these drugs, you may die from. I mean, it's unbelievable that all of the mantras we often hear from the abortion industry, right, of like reproductive rights and access and how we support women, that goes out the door. And even when I've been talking to pro-choice students and young people about this Louisiana case, a lot of people say, well, yeah, that's terrible about Rosalie, but it shouldn't impact my access to take a pill to kill my baby. Right. And so it's like, wait a minute, I thought we were about supporting women. So what if you were talking to President Trump right now, or a high-ranking official in the Trump administration, what is your sales pitch, Vincent, for why the Trump administration must act right now, why the DOJ must act right now to enforce the Comstock Act?
Right. I mean, because it would have an immediate impact on protecting women from dangerous drugs that are being trafficked over state lines, and obviously it would save countless unborn babies from dying in abortions, right? And like I said, it's the ease of accessing these drugs is just part of the danger, right? Because it sort of masks what's actually really happening there. You know, when a woman has to make an appointment at a brick and mortar abortion clinic and drive there and sit in the waiting room and go into an operating or a room to have the procedure done, there's a lot more planning and thought that sort of has to go into that. And so, we often celebrate in the pro-life movement when an abortion clinic shuts down, but really they're not actually shutting down; they're just going online.
That's right.
And so I think a lot of folks in the abortion industry will sort of pretend that they're upset that an abortion clinic shut down, but actually they're just moving their business model online.
Or they're doing Botox. Planned Parenthood's doing Botox now to make up for the fact that they're not killing babies.
Right, and so for them, the profit margin actually increases when they can move online. So they're actually probably pretty happy about that aspect of it, right? And it's just so much easier in a very deceptive way for a woman to access an abortion in that way. And obviously the enforcement of the Comstock Act would immediately curtail a lot of these abuses, save women, and frankly, and we often forget to talk about men who are involved in these too. There are fathers of these unborn babies too that are suffering from seeing their unborn children aborted as well. And so, it would have an immediate positive impact on lives.
Well, thank you for joining me today. Thank you for all the amazing work CareNet's doing, your pregnancy decision line. We have made the case to you. We've given you the stories. I presented to you the legal facts, the legal minutia. We've talked about the dangers of chemical abortion pills. If the DOJ continues to ignore these violations of the Comstock Act, this is not like neutrality. This is a dereliction of duty. And that is why we're going to be going inside the DOJ in just a few minutes. But I want to give you an action item. We need you right now to go to studentsforlifeaction.org/DOJ petition. Sign this petition that we're delivering to the DOJ, telling them to enforce the Comstock Act, because I guarantee you we're going to have to do another petition delivery pretty soon. And if you can, share this live stream with your friends and family to educate them about a simple thing the Trump DOJ can do right now that could save hundreds of thousands of lives. Enforcing this law would save lives. It would protect women. It would restore the respect for rule of law in our country. This is good common sense. We do not need permission to act. We do not need a new bill in Congress. We just need the Trump administration and its Department of Justice to enforce the rule of law. Thank you for tuning in right now. Awesome.
All right. Well,
Thank you
we
so
we
much.
stayed dry. That was
We did stay dry
that was-
mostly, yeah.